Welcome everybody to the Sears Center here in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, as we're going to recap IU women's basketball loss here in the first round of the Big Ten tournament to Michigan. Co-beat reporters for IU women's basketball and the Indiana Daily Student, Joe Popley, alongside.
Robby Howard.
And Robby, it really wasn't a game at all, even at the onset. It seemed like Michigan really came out strong. In fact, starting the game on a 12-0 run really put IU in a hole. They were able to cut the lead to 10 by halftime, which was miraculous in and of itself, and give the team credit for fighting back.
And almost 7. Nicole Bell almost got a 3 to fall right at the buzzer, but didn't go in. But yeah, really fought back in that first half.
And then the Wolverines picked up where they left off and started the second half on a 12-2 run, and from there it wasn't much of a contest. So a hard way for this heralded senior class to go out. We know about Alani Sinclair, all the records she's broken this year. Jasmine McGee is arguably the heart and soul of this team in terms of emotion and her vocal leadership. And Linda Rubene, and we still haven't quite figured out how to pronounce it yet this year, but has really picked it up in her last 5 games and been playing well down the stretch. So
Yeah, it was. I think IU coach Kurt Miller was pretty disappointed to send the seniors out like this. He said coming into this game that he really wanted to play well for this senior class and emphasizing how much they meant to the program, especially this year. You look at it, Rubena, Sinclair, and McGee are the top 3 scorers for IU. They're some of the top rebounders for IU, and so you're losing a lot of production going into next season, and they're really the heart and soul and the backbone of this team. And for someone like Sinclair, who has put in 4 years into this program, it kind of sucks that she finishes her career going 1 of 11 from the field, scoring 4 points, and losing by 27 points in the first round of the Big Ten tournament.
yeah, and Kurt said in the post-game press conference that Rubene was actually suffering from illness during the game, and it was visible, and so was the fatigue for Lonnie Sinclair, who has played, I believe, 95% of all the possible minutes this season. And we've talked about fatigue throughout the season, but I really think it reared its ugly head today. You could see Sinclair winded as she tried to run down to the other end, and her shots were short the entire night and flat, as Kurt mentioned, and you could see that. And it really just, she could never get it going, and the team could never get it going when they needed to. And you have to give the Wolverines credit because they have such a deep squad.
Well, and the other player to mention along with fatigue is Jasmine McGee, who has also played a significant amount of minutes this season, and she had the difficult job of chasing Kate Thompson around tonight. Kate Thompson averages 14 points per game on the season.
Almost 15.
Yeah, and she was held to, I believe, 8 tonight, and
2 of 10 shooting.
Yeah, and
it's been that way in all 3 matchups against Michigan. And I know where you're going with this is that Kurt said Jasmine McGee should be on the first team all defense,
even suggesting that she should be Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten.
and just suggesting that she doesn't get the recognition because it's on a bad team. And I think there's some merit to that. I mean, McGee really did play great defense on Thompson all 3 times. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers against the other players that she guarded, but certainly did a good job tonight. And you have to think, as Kurt mentioned, that she felt like it was all on her shoulders with the way that Alani was struggling, and maybe, in fact, as Kurt said, was trying to do too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that possibility, but again, as Kurt has mentioned several times this season, there's not a lot of firepower on this team. So if Alani is struggling with her shot, then really your only other solid offensive option you have is Jasmine. So, you can't really fault her for stepping up like that and trying to take the game over and take the game into her hands.
And I want to talk about Michigan as well, and it's almost been a repeat of the first 2 matchups. Jasmine shuts down Kate Thompson, and Sheffer and Jenny Ryan do okay, but not great. And it's the role players, the bench players, and the second, third, and fourth options that really stepped up for Michigan in this game.
Yeah, tonight it was Nicole Elmblad with a career-high 14 points. She almost came out of nowhere. Kurt mentioned that he recruited her pretty hard for Bowling Green. Seemed disappointed that he didn't get her to go down there. But she stepped up big for the Wolverines tonight, and Kurt said that they ignored her and that was obviously wrong. She stepped up and she was able to hurt them.
Yeah, you can see why Kurt recruited her so hard. Is the kind of player that he loves. Was getting out in transition, able to finish near the rim, and was a great rebounder tonight. Actually had 10 rebounds, so a double-double for her. 5 coming on the offensive end, and I thought that offensive rebounding is really what killed Indiana. They play good defensive sequences, but giving up an offensive rebound is a really deflating thing. And it just seemed like from the get-go, Michigan was out hustling Indiana, and even when it looked like IU should get the rebound, there was just a poor box out, not enough energy, not enough hustle in order to get to that ball, and that's ultimately, I think, overall what cost them. Of course, the poor shooting didn't help, but you also have to mention Jordan Naya. She had 13 rebounds. Been
Nia Jordan.
excuse me, Naya Jordan. Thanks for the correction. And 8 points, 13 rebounds. But she's been an absolute nemesis for the Hoosiers this year. So
Yeah,
they stuck to the game plan. We were able to shut down the main scorers, but Michigan's just too powerful.
yeah, you mentioned the rebounding. Overall, Michigan out rebounds the Hoosiers 45 to 30, and that's what really killed them. You mentioned the offensive rebounds.
32 to 10 points in the paint.
The offensive rebounds was just 15 to 11. It felt like it was more than that.
Yeah.
But that was where Michigan really took the game over and sort of made it so that the Hoosiers couldn't come back. It seemed like every time IU was able to come up with a defensive stop, the ball fell back to Michigan, and they were able to get some second chance points. And so that really killed sort of any chance the Hoosiers had in coming back in this game.
And so that'll do it for our season as well, as Indiana falls 67 to 40. Stay tuned to see what happens with some of these seniors that are graduating. All three, Jasmine McGee, we haven't heard from Linda, but we know Jasmine wants to keep playing. Alani's talked about playing overseas, and Sasha Chaplin is applying for a 6th year of eligibility and plans to be back next fall.